This is Marriage on the Half Shell, Raw and Exposed. So, we don't normally do this, but we're going to jump on a current trending topic. It's been out there in the media for about a month or so, so we're a little late to the party, but I want to shout out Matt Walsh. We've listened to he's done 2 segments on it now, and we got quite a bit of information from him. But it's this topic of what they're calling dinks. I guess it's something that's trending
acronym.
on. Yeah, it's an acronym, but it's something that's trending on TikTok, which is honestly, come on, y'all,
Garbage heap.
it's not just a garbage heap; it's a psyop.
Okay. But
It is.
That's not what we're talking about today.
No, it's not. But this,
Maybe this whole thing is, but
I think this is.
okay. But
Yeah.
what is it?
Okay, a dink means double income, no kids. So we're going to talk about this concept and how it's not, how would Jordan Peterson put it? Not conducive to your growth
Certainly not.
as a human being, as a man, as a woman. It's just not. This is not conducive to anyone's growth. Um, there are people who are using a lot of excuses as to why they're pursuing this particular quote unquote lifestyle. We're going to go through some of that. But just as an aside and as something amusing, again, shout out to Matt Walsh. I was listening to his segment on it day before yesterday, and then we listened to it together last night. Or was that today? I don't remember.
Last night.
Someone from British Columbia wrote into his show and said, "Are you serious? Is this what you call these people?" Because dink is some kind of a slur for the word penis. And I thought, well, that's appropriate.
I guess so.
I just, you know.
These people have named themselves.
Yes.
This is not a.
Yeah, they have.
It's something that they have named themselves and have put it out there on TikTok or YouTube or wherever.
Yeah. I think it's mostly TikTok.
Mostly. But and they talk about the reasons. Well, I don't want to jump ahead, but what?
Okay, so this is kind of where we've been talking about this for the past month. Obviously we're not.
No, we
We
kids.
were single income. Well, there was another little video that somebody put out that called themselves Silks.
Silks.
Yes. Single income, lots of kids.
That was us.
That was us.
Okay.
So, and we're not out here advocating, go out and have 6 kids, although that would be,
You can do it.
that would be
You can
ideal.
handle it.
Even our own children who grew up in a house full of, a house full of kids are going, 3,
I think
2,
the
3,
cycles. It's
maybe,
like
2,
3, and then the next generation down. Sometimes they'll say, you know what?
Well, neither one of us came from ginormous. You have
Yeah,
2
I mean,
sisters.
I had 2 sisters.
I
and
have.
You had 2 brothers.
Well, I had 2 brothers
Well,
and then
3.
a half brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my parents got
But you're
remarried,
on-
and then my dad and my stepmom had a son. So, but neither one of us came from big families. Now my parents did. Both my parents did.
My parents did.
No, your parents did not. They both had 2 siblings.
Yeah.
2? Yeah. My mom had 6 siblings, and my dad had 5.
Yeah, so it's not every.
No. And
But
look,
it's
that's not
like-
what we're advocating.
No, we're not. Let's make sure the air is clear.
Okay.
Okay. If you don't want to have children, while we believe you're missing out, and we'll explain that, you don't have to. Right? We're not saying everyone must have children. It's not a law. Okay. But we highly recommend it.
I just think
So we're just talking about, people
Yeah.
making their own decisions.
Right.
And it would be how I can recommend it. I can say it would be a poor decision for your life to not have children.
yes.
But we're not saying that you must. There are some people out there we know is like, if you hate children that much, then you shouldn't have children. Right? And we've never advocated children for other reasons, like they can't save a marriage.
Right.
You shouldn't try to capture a husband by having a child with him.
Right.
Anything like that.
Right.
So we're not advocating anything either way. We're not advocating a number of children.
No.
But we would highly recommend having at least 2. Because only children are in a unique situation.
Yeah.
And it's probably not the best. So actually, well, I don't know if we'll get there, but I'll just throw this out. There were some studies on happiness, and we've talked about happiness before.
Brother.
But, how do you measure, how they measured this or whatever. So I don't know what the term meant in these studies, but they said they found that a couple that had no children were pretty happy. Say they're at some baseline happiness, right?
Okay.
And couples that had one child were slightly less happy. Only slightly.
Okay.
And then, but couples that had 2 or more children were more happy than even the couples that didn't have children.
Okay.
Right? And there's a lot of things that go into how you determine what your happiness is and all that stuff. But my point is, have at least 2. Get married first. After you vet, and we've talked about all of that, but then plan, maybe it's not right away, but plan to have at least 2, and maybe 4 would be a pretty good number. But you can handle more than you think.
That's true.
Right? I mean, we were coming along, and we had hit 5, and I was thinking, okay.
I mean, we had some, there were some issues there, and there were some reasons we were thinking that way,
but yeah. But
you
then,
were, I was.
Yeah. Well, I was the one who originally wanted to talk to you up to the number 6.
Yeah.
So anyway, my point is that I was thinking, oh my gosh, 6. I mean, we've got 5, and I'm going, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But then we had 6.
Right.
And we had decided that was the number.
Right.
So you can decide the number for yourself, but we highly recommend at least 2, preferably 4, and you can do it. You can handle 4, you can handle more. And you can, and we'll talk about some of the reasons that these couples are wanting to do this, to not have kids.
Right.
And then you'll see that a lot of their ideas are a little flawed, but let's talk about it.
Okay, so the trend seems to be couple out taking a walk, and they say things like, we're dinks. We can go out to dinner whenever we want. We're dinks. We can go on vacation to any place in the world. We're dinks. We can drop everything and go away for the weekend. So it's just, it was seriously consumer oriented a lot, all of it. I didn't see anybody in these videos going, we're dinks. We're putting aside having children so we can go be missionaries.
Nope, none of them said that.
We're dinks. We're putting aside having children so that we can start a foundation to help homeless people. None of that. Never. That was never any of it.
Yeah.
There was a strange obsession with going to Costco, which
we can go to Costco and buy all the stuff.
we can buy all this. I can buy all the snacks I want, and I don't have to share them. It's like, wow, you sound like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't want to share my stuff.
What was the other one? We can do all our hobbies.
Yes.
And they're trying to make that. It's like, it's not. I'm gonna say you can do hobbies whether you have kids or not.
Yes.
So that was kind of a dumb argument,
Right.
But it is based very much around consumerism.
Consumerism.
They talk about financial security. and so on. But if you really look at it, well, let's go on to the next part of that. Is that the whole? Did we cover it all?
No, I mean, some of them would use the excuse of we're saving the climate by not having children. Which
Yeah, that's why we talk. That's why you keep saying it's a psychological operation.
Yeah.
Where it's just one more thing where people are being convinced or brainwashed to not have kids to save the climate.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
As if the earth is overpopulated. They want, there are people out there who want to reduce the population.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. We've heard it. And every time they say there's too many people, and then we have more people and things are just fine.
Right.
So, and I'm not arguing about climate change here. I'm just talking about the thinking that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, but again, most of it was based on consuming things, doing my own thing on my time, and I don't have this little person who's keeping me awake night after night, or hanging on my skirt all day long, and or I don't, I just have to cook for me. I don't have to cook for anyone else, or we can afford
DoorDash 5 days a week.
5 days a week, all that kind of stuff, and it just came off as extremely selfish,
Shallow.
but it's shallow, yes. But I can see the appeal if you want to serve your selfish nature. I can definitely see the appeal of it.
Well, that is the appeal.
Yeah.
I can be selfish.
Yeah.
I can be self-centered.
Yes. Yeah.
So
the point is, you don't grow as a human being by being a consumer and focusing on yourself. Those two things do not lead to any kind of growth at all.
Right.
And growth always entails some kind of pain. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Like we work out, if I want bigger muscles, I've got to lift heavier weights, which means I'm going to experience some pain in the growth, right?
Yeah. You have to work hard.
Yeah. And every time we had a child, there was the pain of childbirth, but there was also the pain of, okay, now we've got to navigate around this new person with her or his personality and their quirks and their, whatever issues they deal with. And,
right.
And actually we're still navigating that.
Yeah.
We
still love our kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's not just that, but they grow, they change, they keep growing and changing as they get older.
Yeah.
Right. But that's what leads to actual fulfillment. And notice I did not say the word happiness because I'm not an advocate of chasing happiness.
In the way the world sees it, or the culture sees it.
Right.
These days, which is just the immediate, very tactical dopamine hits,
right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That makes me happy now,
right.
now.
Yeah.
Rather than this contentment, fulfillment,
right.
Joy that you get. So even, and I think we've talked about this before too, it's like even if something happens that makes you sorrowful or unhappy, right? There's the contentment and the joy that you've built is still there, and it supports you, and it keeps you going, and then your happiness level, if you really think about that, may dip, but then it'll come back up to this baseline that we have.
Right.
So it's not, it's very hard to maintain the high of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it seems like these folks are pursuing.
Right.
Okay.
So, well, and it's very interesting that you just said something about now.
Yeah.
Because that is also an aspect of this. These people are they're pursuing what's going to make them happy right this minute, right?
Mhm.
So these are people, and I'm going to get a little philosophical here. These are people that don't study history, okay? A tangent. Get on YouTube or Rumble or whichever video platform you use and look up these videos of man on the street interviews with people asking about history.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, these young people, meaning like millennials and Gen Z, you ask them questions about history and you get a blank stare or an extremely stupid answer.
Yeah.
You know, I just heard one this morning. Somebody asked one of these people, "Can you name a country that starts with U?" And person looked at the interviewer and went, Utah? and this just, it speaks to, you know, the way history has been kicked around and ignored.
History and other subjects.
Right. In school. But here's my point. Because these young people are not taught history, if you don't look back and study what's gone on in the past, you're not looking to the future. You're not.
Not beyond your immediate.
No.
Yeah.
So I think that's where some of this mentality comes from. Because when you have a child and they place that child in your arms, that's all you think about. You think about the future.
Yeah.
You think about, where is this child going to be in a year? Where is this child going to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? How are we going to handle this situation, that situation? You are constantly thinking about the future because that's what having a child does to you, right? So, but because these people don't know any history, they can't see that there is any future beyond this immediate consumption of stuff and being happy right this second. And that's one of the reasons they don't see the point.
Well, yeah.
Right?
They don't see the point of having kids.
Yes.
They don't see, well, should we get into that? Like meaning and purpose? And
Yeah.
I mean, they don't see that.
Right.
They're not looking at what's the meaning of your life and why we're here and what is the purpose we want to fulfill and how can we make the world better for these children, our children, right?
They're not even thinking, how can I make the world better for myself? They're just thinking...
No, they're not even thinking that.
No.
Right? I mean, they think, oh, climate change. Right? But then, you know, if you're a consumer, then you consume all the things that actually increase...
Sure.
What they say causes climate change.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's a self-defeating thing. And on top of it, you're not looking forward.
Yes.
To what kind of world you're going to create around yourself and in your community.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It's extremely nihilistic.
It is very nihilistic.
Yeah. Which is not, that's, these couples that are engaging in this, they can't see the future, and because they're pursuing just present happiness, that's eventually going to run out. We do know some couples who have chosen not to have children.
Yeah.
You know, we know a few that have chosen not to have children. Some of them are still married. Some of them are having issues.
Yeah.
You know, I just, and it's not that, again, it's not that you want to have children to save your marriage.
No, don't do that.
But children do have a way of gluing you together as a couple in a way that nothing else can.
Well, yeah, you've raised the stakes.
Yeah.
So you should be working on yourself and working on your marriage.
Yes, there's that.
To give the kids a secure home.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
To grow up in.
Right.
And so on.
So again, it's that forward-looking, you know, and I mean, what could be more fulfilling then, holding this child and having them smile at you and say, I love you. I just don't, you and your spouse are going to say it to each other, sure, right? But here's this person that you two produced.
Yeah.
Again, it's that
this amazing
forward thinking
thing
yes,
that we can do.
Yeah.
And you're forward thinking, but you're also, it's like, what's going on with this child now or these children now? And you have this task of raising human beings to be good people.
Yeah.
With their own purpose.
Right.
And meaning.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most profound things. It's a grind day to day, but it's one of the most profound things that you can do.
Right.
Compared to just about anything else that most of us will get to do.
Right.
Most of us, if not all, if 99.9% of us are going to be cogs in some wheel if you're out there working.
Right.
Or cogs in some machine, right, that you can be replaced in any moment for whatever reason. And that's really, yeah, you could be part of a big team that fulfills a purpose. And I get that, and that's great. I feel like my job does that,
right,
to an extent. But raising human beings to be good and productive and so on is still far more profound and a bigger task,
right,
than what I do at work.
Oh, well, I'm just sitting here thinking, as a homeschool mom, one of my biggest accomplishments I always felt, besides teaching them, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, all that stuff, teaching them to read. Because they go from this little, 4 or 5-year-old kid who could they can sing the ABC song, and then you transition from that to now there's sounds associated with those letters, and now we're going to put those sounds together. And when you have your child in your lap, and all of a sudden it clicks, and they're reading, that was probably one of my most fulfilling moments with, 5 out of 6, because my oldest 2 girls taught number 3 how to read. Like, I taught her letter sounds and all that, all that stuff. But I was so busy homeschooling them, and she was kind of taking an interest in learning to read. But I was like, look, I don't have time to do this right this minute. Because she was like 4.5 or something like that. And I was like, I'm not ready to do that yet. So, it can be postponed temporarily or whatever. Well, both of her sisters were like, nah, we'll just do it. Yeah. So they taught her to read. It's like, okay, that's one of the benefits of homeschooling, obviously.
Yeah. So now you have your children teaching other children how to read.
Well, now fast forward a year and a half ago, and I'm teaching my grandson to swim.
Yeah.
And my granddaughter, who struggles with trusting people in general.
That's just her personality.
It's just her personality. It's just the way she is. She's extremely cautious with people in general. But we took them out. I don't remember what we were doing, but I said, "Are you going to let me teach you how to swim next summer?" And she looked at me and said, "Yes." And I was shocked. I was shocked because I have been asking her for a year, and I would always get the no, not like, no, thank you. More like, what are you, nuts?
Yeah.
That kind of response. And she finally said yes. So that's what I'm doing next summer, is teaching her how to swim. But, moments like that, they can't be quantified.
It is hard. Think about the swimming thing. It's like, you think, oh, so what, swimming? But it's like, he had to trust overcome fear.
Yes.
He had to trust you.
Yes.
And then he finally could do it himself.
Yeah.
And he was happy to do it and
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
afraid anymore. So
Right.
you helped this kid overcome fear,
Yeah.
right? In a certain way.
Yeah,
of a
and
certain
this
thing,
is
right?
my grandson who's very cautious. He
Yeah.
just, he's getting over it now because he's getting older, and it's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the first few times I took him to the pool, I had to peel him off of me. No, you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
cling to G-Mom. We gotta work together here. And at the end of 8 months, there was a gap in there because they got sick and I couldn't take him swimming. But at the end of that time, he's diving, treading water, swimming around,
Yeah.
going underwater by himself, floating on his back. He's doing all the things,
Yeah.
right? And like, not afraid at all. And
Yeah.
I really think that's what switched his sister.
Could be.
She was like,
Could
okay,
be.
if he can do it. There's a little competitive
She's
thing
like,
there.
if he can do it, I can.
Well,
do it.
yeah, that's probably part of it. Okay, but we're way off topic.
Right.
The
but
point
we're
is
talking about having children.
fulfillment. It's this,
Yeah.
it's this fulfilling thing that you can't get any other way.
Right.
Really not. Unless you are seriously out doing missionary work, or you're you're working for some charitable foundation that's really doing great things, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you're one of these stupid dinks, I don't want to call them penis people, but it just it kind of fits.
It's just funny that.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's not
But
what
that's
these.
not to
That's
put down-
not what
Go
these
ahead.
people are doing.
It's the reason you're choosing to not have kids, and that's what we're
Yes,
after.
yes,
It's all about the money,
yeah.
right? And they were talking about, kids are expensive, and kids. What was the latest? Each kid costs $310,000,
Which is
to
ridiculous. That's
raise
stupid.
to the age
That's
of
stupid.
18. It's like
Nah.
no way.
No,
Think about it. I mean,
No.
that's what did he calculate? Like $20,000 a year per kid. It's like
that's ridiculous.
we would have not had any money to eat or pay rent or
Yeah.
pay a mortgage or
Right.
anything.
Okay, granted, our kids didn't do a lot of like extracurricular sports and all that kind. They didn't do a lot of that stuff, but still,
But even if they had it, we wouldn't have let them overtax themselves.
no.
And we even had to, of course, we all pay taxes for school. When you homeschool, you don't get that back.
No,
It's gone.
we still had to pay
and
for
we still had to buy
curriculum.
books and
Yes,
and all that.
but
And-
still, it wasn't
and it was-
$300,000.
No, it was no way. So I mean, 6 kids to the age of 18 times during. I mean, that's what is that? I don't know.
1.8
Almost 1.8
million.
almost $2 million.
No, we didn't
It's
pay.
like
No,
absolutely not,
no.
right? Anyway, so don't.
Oh,
trust
you
those
made the
statistics.
point last night that actually, second kid is cheaper than the first kid.
Well, the more you have, the cheaper it is. We're not saying kids are zero
No,
expense,
no.
but when you first have them, you got, I don't know what's the cost, diapers, but after that,
Well,
you're
you got
just
like
feeding
all the
them.
baby equipment and stuff,
and the
but then
equipment.
you only buy that once.
That's true, and we need a lot less than we think,
Yeah,
and I think it kind of comes down to just this expectation. But your kids are more happy when you don't overload them
yes,
with stuff and
Yeah.
all the toys and
Right.
and everything else. It's like you do not need to spend that much.
actually, we cut off toys when our oldest turned. I want to say 2 because when number 2 came along, she already had a whole toy box full of stuff that she didn't really play with.
We're talking about little kid toys.
Yeah. So I think when she was 2, we went to the grandparents and said, no more. You could get them books, puzzles, educational things, but the just random plastic toy nonsense, we cut that off pretty early.
Yeah, and we're not saying we didn't let them have fun.
No,
Of
not
course
at
we
all.
did.
They had.
We did a lot
they
of
had-
things
yeah.
together as a family.
Right.
We took them places and all this other stuff. And they had things to play with and to do.
Sure.
Right. I mean, I even bought them a go-kart one time where it was a 2-seater go-kart. And they all learned to drive it
They did.
and had a great time.
Yeah.
For, I don't know how long we had it, but so that's a toy. But
Yeah.
geez, that was expensive. But it was good. I mean, it was a great thing, and they all, like I said, they learned to be responsible and
Yeah.
not kill each other
Sure.
or themselves driving this thing around.
Right.
Okay, so it doesn't cost as much as you think.
No.
You don't
Good
need
Lord.
a double income. I mean, we've been single income, and
Our whole marriage.
if you think it through, and you don't have to have a Porsche and all this other stuff, then you can do it, and you can be
Right.
more fulfilled than you would be if you were able to afford a sports car that you're always worried about somebody's gonna scratch it,
Yeah.
or pouring money into a boat.
Again,
Which
this
I
is
do
just
want,
it's
but-
consumerism. That's just consumer.
It's just you're buying these things, but things don't fulfill us.
Right.
We've known this forever,
Right.
but they seem to want to bring back that concept of our fulfillment comes from buying stuff
Yeah.
and having all this free time. It's like, well, you know what, we went on dates, we went out,
Yeah.
we could go to things, concerts or whatever, because you got to.
I mean, we had to
it's
wait until the
possible.
kids got a little older,
Sure,
but I
you
mean,
can do
every
this
family
stuff.
goes through that kind of
Right.
transition, and we started the dating thing when our oldest was really young.
Sure.
And we paid a lot of money for babysitters, but we kept it up,
Yeah.
and we did things like, okay, 7:30 is bedtime, and we kind of established that with number one, and it just kind
It
of
just became natural.
it trickled down through all six, and so we would have maybe an hour or so to ourselves after they were in bed until they got old enough to put themselves to bed, which happens a lot faster than you think it will.
Oh, sure.
Um,
And you can still have hobbies.
yes.
And that seems like the appeal of being able to do my hobby, blah, blah, blah. And it's
Yeah.
like, you know what? I had hobbies when our kids were growing up, and
Yeah.
I did them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I did too.
You just make choices.
Yeah.
Okay, we spent a lot of time on this part.
So, this is another point that Matt Walsh made that I thought was really profound. He talked about how these people are making a choice based strictly on consumerism to end their bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents, they raised you, they paid for you, they sent you to college, you've got the job now, and now you're married, and you're going, you know what, I don't want to give you grandkids, I just rather have stuff.
Right.
And there is something profoundly selfish about that,
And sad.
and very sad.
Yeah.
Particularly,
But it's not about satisfying your parents with grandkids necessarily.
It's not.
It's more, like you said, ending your bloodline, your legacy. Yeah. What's your legacy?
Yeah.
Well, they could buy a lot of stuff and go on vacations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that just so I just thought that was, you're ending your bloodline, your genetics, all of that. You're just going to toss it away so that you can buy all the snacks you want at Costco.
Yeah.
Or buy the more expensive car or the nicer furniture or, whatever it is. And I'm going to tell you, especially you ladies, I'm going to tell you right now that you're going to reach your mid-40s and you're going to be looking around going, this is all I have. I have nice things. But I don't have, a teenager that I can go shopping with and do things with or teach how to drive or,
Have
just
discussions about
have,
stuff,
deep discussions
life,
with, I don't have that. And, let's be honest here. You're going to get old and you're just going to be probably stuck in a home.
Maybe.
Alone.
But if there's nobody around to stick you in the home.
You know,
Not even that.
you know,
Yeah. It used to be that kids would kind of take care of their parents.
we've gotten away from that, but I think we should swing that back the other way. I mean,
we
that's
should swing back to that because you keep the generations together. We've talked about uh, multi-generational houses,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, it depends, right? But you can have it without the conflicts that often come when you have two wives in the same house. A mother and a daughter, and then there can be conflicts. For instance, let's just put it on women, but at a certain point, you can bring your parents back into the home and help take care of them, make life easier for them, at not a significant cost, right? It's not.
right.
It's not like it costs you a ton,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just an addition to your household, but you bring in all of their wisdom and everything that can be that they should have passed to you in the first place, but then now they can help you as you raise your children, and they can maintain a connection.
There's definitely something to be said for that kind of lifestyle, and this I guess it's been in the past 40 years or so that most kids don't want their parents living with them, so they will. It's time to put grandma in the nursing home, kind of thing. And look, I know that there can be situations where there's no other way to do it because your parents are, they have dementia or they're sick all the time or whatever, and you just don't have the capacity to.
Sure.
I kind of get that, but, and again, we're not saying have kids to make your parents happy, but let me tell you something. You have some kids, you're going to make your parents happy.
Sure.
And there is something to that.
Oh yeah.
We loved having our own kids, but we really, we love our grandkids too. This has been a great experience for us,
Yeah. Having a connection with them and having them ask us serious questions sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but we also goof around with them and slide around on the kitchen floor, and we took them poppets.
Yeah.
Last time we went over there, and they spent 20 minutes trying to blow our eardrums out with poppets.
Yeah. We didn't start any fires, but they tried.
So
anyway.
That is a profound thing to make this decision that you're going to end your bloodline and end your genetics. And there's too many of these videos where I see these young people treating it flippantly.
Yeah.
Like it's not a big deal to do this kind of thing. And again, it's that they don't have the history, so they're not looking forward. Where is my life going to be in 5 years, 10 years? How am I going to feel about this decision in 5 years? They're not even thinking that. That doesn't even enter their thought process at all. And there's something seriously wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of these funny things. I mean, I can sit there and quote statistics about, or studies that talk about women specifically who start to reach this age of, say, 35, and this is related to women who've I don't know, fooled around and not gotten married or whatever, and then suddenly want to get married and want to have a family. And they thought they had all this time, and they don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying you can't have a kid after 35.
Yeah, no.
But it becomes much harder, and the longer you wait, the harder it is.
Yeah.
And eventually it's impossible. And here you are, 20, 24, whatever. Here we are, we're married, we've got 2 incomes and all this money and no other responsibility, and you think this is the way I want it forever. And then you reach 10 years after that.
Yeah.
And you didn't have children.
Yeah.
But you want them, and then it becomes a lot harder.
It's this process. It
becomes a lot harder.
Yeah.
And doctors treat it as high risk pregnancy and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And we're just, it's like, that's why I said earlier, it's like, we can't, you have to decide to want children. But all we're doing here is just trying to persuade in various ways why to have children, I guess. It really comes down to that.
Right. Hey, look, we're not saying that it isn't hard.
No, we're not saying it's not hard.
There's a lady I follow on Instagram, and she is where we were, 20 years ago. She just had number 6. Number 6 just turned a year old, right?
Okay.
So she's got 6 kids. I think her oldest is 11, 12, something like that. About how old Kate was when Jonathan was born, whatever. But she frequently does news. She'll go on a news program and talk about topics or whatever. So she's in the media sphere. She's written a book or whatever, but she flubbed on TV live. And then she went on her Instagram page and she was kind of laughing about it. And she goes, "Look, I haven't slept in 10 years. And we're laughing. And I know that sounds, oh no, I don't want that. But literally that was us. We did not sleep for 14 years.
Not completely.
No.
I mean, or we were sleep deprived.
Yes, very.
You can get sleep. I mean, come on, it's not a horror story.
No, it's not a horror story, but it's we're not trying to make this sound like, hey, it's easy, just go do it, because it's
right.
It is hard.
Sure.
It is challenging.
But that's the point.
But are you really, really seriously going to go through your life and expect no challenges at all? Seriously. You think that by leaving this very important factor out of your life, that there aren't going to be any challenges? Is that what you think?
Yeah, there will be challenges.
One way or another.
Yeah.
They
always happen.
Yes.
So you might as well choose which ones.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
The point there is, if you practice growing as a couple in your marriage, and we've talked a lot about that.
Oh, yeah.
And then growing as you raise children, which is an added factor. So that
it will force you to grow.
Yeah, so that you both grow as a couple and you grow as individuals. Then when those challenges do come, because they will, then you're more prepared to meet them.
Yeah.
And triumph over them, or have
right.
victory at the other side, or whatever. Because you're ready.
Yeah.
Right? If all you've done is, hey, we got plenty of money, we don't have to worry about any stresses, nothing, we got a big house and cars and all the stuff we ever want, and we go on these vacations, blah, 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 and nothing ever happens. And then the challenge comes, and you aren't ready.
Yeah.
Because you haven't gotten ready.
Right.
Okay, so that's just another reason.
Well, and I think I'm kind of paraphrasing Dr. Peterson here, but he said there is, like, part of you will not grow up and become a mature adult without some children.
Okay.
Like, there's a part of you that just won't grow up.
Yeah. Because
it does mature you in a very specific way, and I'm not going to try to tell you what that way is, right? But I do the word picture thing. But so I was just sitting, you were talking about how one challenge prepares you for another, right? So I'm not facing a lot of big challenges at the moment, knock on wood. But one thing that I work on frequently is my weightlifting.
Yeah.
And there are times, like we've talked about, how the deadlift is the one that makes me a nervous wreck.
Yes.
I haven't quite deciphered what the problem is there, but my nervous system turns into the Tasmanian devil every time I approach that heavy bar. But there are times when I'll walk up to the bar and go, "You gave birth to 6 children, 5 of them without drugs. pick the damn bar up. This is not that complicated. So that's just an example of, we overcame all these challenges. This is just a barbell with some weight on it.
Yep.
Pick it up, So, anyway, I hope that we've made our point. I just, living this life of just pure consumerism, it might give you some pretty decent dopamine hits for a couple of years.
Yep. But we've seen what happens. For instance, when someone does spoil their children, give them everything they want and never say no, and you know what kind of person that kid grows up to be.
Yes.
And that's just another thing. It's like these people are setting themselves up to become children who've been spoiled.
Yeah.
Anyway. So.
Yeah. I mean, is that really, I mean, you reach, 70, 80 years old, and again, it's this looking forward, looking backwards thing, when you reach that age, what do you want your life to have looked like? Right?
Yep.
Because one way or another, you're going to contribute to society. It's going to be negative or it's going to be positive.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. I don't know of anybody that's just neutral and never, just like I contributed nothing. No,
whatever you do,
if you,
affects society.
I'm going to dedicate my life to sitting in my basement and playing video games. Well, guess what? You're a net negative. Sorry. Yeah. You may think I'm contributing nothing. No, you're contributing something, and it's not good.
Yeah.
Right?
You're taking away, like you said, a net negative.
Yeah. So, again, the looking forward thing. You want to be able to look back over your life and say, I did something good. I contributed something that is actually going to last.
Sure.
So, and that's what children do.
Yep. That is true. On that note, have we beat the horse to death? I think
we've beat the horse to death. I hope that we've gotten our point across. So, like you said in the beginning, if you seriously just make that decision that you don't want to have children, then
it's still your decision.
It is still your decision.
And we certainly have compassion for the people who say can't have
children. Yes. I know that they
and there
exist.
Are things that you folks usually do separately to contribute to society.
Right.
And that's great.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about people who can't.
Yeah.
We're talking about people who won't. Because of selfishness.
Right.
So, anyway. That's what I've got to say about it.
Okay. Well,
I think we're done.
I think we've hit it. Yes. So This has been Marriage on the Half Shell, Raw and Exposed.